So for you, it is time to take a moment and figure out the practices that you need to build to make sure that you can win. Hey guys, it's me, Sonia of Sonia W Coaching, and guess what? I'm in a little different location. I am trying out different areas in my house because I was like, I got a lot of cute little areas in my house, and I wanted to try something out. I wanted to see what it looked like. Now, this is probably going to make me finally put up the prints that I've had for a few years now. But that's okay. They're gonna get up. But anyway, that's not why you're here, right? You're here because you are here for our weekly dose of building and intentional living, and I'm super excited, okay? Because for the past 3 weeks, we have been going through the stairwell of intentional living, and we talked about acknowledging our dreams. We talked about living by principle. We talked about executing the play. Well, today we're going to be talking about that last step of the stairwell. We're going to talk about winning. That we must win by practice. But before I do all of that, let me introduce myself. Hey guys, my name is Sonia of Sonia W Coaching, where we help overwhelmed, multi-passionate women learn how to acknowledge, live, execute, and win their dreams. We are all about making sure that dreams meet reality here at Sonia W Coaching. So, okay, yeah, like I said before, we have been working on building up the stairwell to intentional living. This is something that I use in my life, and also I use with all of my coaching clients to really build out a life that we want to see in build out the dreams and desires of our heart, right? We started the first week of this month with acknowledging that our dreams are worth it and that we're worth dreaming. We're worth taking the time to dream, and our dreams are worth the time to make them work, right? I think so many times as multi-passionate, overwhelmed people where we got a million things going on, most of the time those million things are not for us. And that's because we have a desire to see people's lives transform. We have a desire to love on people and to do for people. And a lot of the times we neglect ourselves. Well, the first step to intentional living and living intentionally is truly acknowledging your dreams, acknowledging that yes, you do have a dream. You do have your own desires. And then making sure that you understand that your dreams, they're worth the work. They're worth the time to take a look at yourself and figure out what you're all about. Figure out what's so important about living out those desires. Then the second thing is living by principle. Actually having principles or values that we live by. And I talk about this in 6 major areas of our lives, right? Relationship with God, relationship with our health, relationship with our mind, our intellect, relationship with our friends, our family, and our finances. Those are those 6 major areas that we must be paying attention to and really making sure that we have principles or values that we live by. And then just last week, we got to the nitty-gritty of things. We started to execute. We started to execute the play, actually taking those values and figuring out the actions that we need to take to make those things happen. We realize that we have our own dreams, but then we have our reality, and that gap has to close. And that closes with executing the play, by having goals in place that sets you apart, by realizing your actual reality and getting solid about that dream. And then finally, this week's video is all about winning. So, I mean, we have to acknowledge, we have to live, we have to execute the play, but there is a thing that we all must do to make sure that we win, and that's practice. Actually practicing what we preach and practicing daily things, daily habits that make sure we get things done. You know, one of the things that I used to do, I actually used to be in the band. I used to play saxophone since the 4th grade, and I played all the way through college. And I haven't played in a while. I should pull out my saxophone and play. We'll see. for myself. It's not going to be on the YouTube channel, okay? Unless I practice and we figure out if I can still play. But anyway, I used to be in the band, and one of my band teachers from high school used to always say that we practice like a performance, and our performance we perform like a practice. So meaning that your practice, you take it seriously. You take your practices real serious. But then when you get into a performance, you're just doing what you've been doing. You're taking that practice that you've done and you're initiating it in the performance time. And I think that's so key to life and winning by practice. So for you, it is time to take a moment and figure out the practices that you need to build to make sure that you can win, okay? Now there's several different things that you can do to make that happen. And just so you know, I have my notes. Now before I get into all the things that you can do, I want to make sure that you're subscribing to this channel. Go ahead and subscribe so that you can get all of the notifications and you can always find out the next thing that's happening at Sonya W or the next thing in intentional living, because I want to see you grow. I want to see you transform your life, okay? So like I was saying, going back to those life practices that win by practice, one of the main things that you can do is actually having routine in your life. Having daily practices that you employ to make sure that your dreams actually become reality. Yeah, that is literally it, a routine. That can solve probably almost all of the problems that we have with trying to make sure that we get our goals done and that we're living by the values and the principles that we desire. Is actually building routines in your life so that, one, you don't gotta think. You don't gotta think about, okay, am I following my values? Am I living by my values? You don't even gotta worry about that, because you are already setting yourself apart and putting together routines that you don't even think about. Then there's the other way with routines that help you, and it is making sure that you can build things in your life that actually begin to close the gaps between your dream and your reality. When you have routines that actually align with your values and align with the goals that you have set, it makes hitting goals easy. For instance, one of my morning routines, I'm always making sure that I'm doing my physical therapy exercises every morning, and then I'm also every other day taking a run or a walk on my treadmill. And why do I do that? And why is that a part of my routine? Because one of my desires is to be able to run a mile in less than 10 minutes. That's one of my goals. And like I said before, I'm a little ways away, but I know that doing these daily routines of working out my knee and walking consistently is going to see those differences. That's what routine does for you. It breaks down the big things that you desire into small increments that you can handle and then almost not even think about. Okay, so let me break down a little bit more about what a routine is. Okay, so a routine is literally a daily practice of a sequence of events that you do, and you just do it on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be daily, but it will be something that you do on a regular basis, either 3 days a week, every day, maybe 2 days a week, but it's done on a regular basis. That is what a routine is, okay? That is really all it is, a sequence of tasks that you do on a regular basis. It don't gotta be fancy. You don't gotta do nothing crazy. It's just figuring out a sequence of tasks that you can do on a regular basis. And the best thing to do is to tie it to those values. Tie it to a goal of yours. And that will make sure that you hit a goal without even thinking. Seriously. Okay? So let me tell you what that can look like. So those sequence of events or tasks could be a series of exercises that you do, maybe 5 stretch exercises that you do because you want to increase your flexibility, right? So you do those every single day and you decide which ones will make the most impact for you and you do it. You set an alarm for it and you make it happen. Or maybe it could be that you read a devotional and you pray for 10 minutes or something like that every single day. that is just another way to grow in your relationship with God. So you see how these things move and work? It's literally building a routine that is surrounded by your values, by something that you want to do, and that is how you're going to grow. I think one of the things that we mess up on is that we do routines or we do things that have nothing to do with our desires, and then we get mad when we fall off or when we decide it's not working. It's not working because it's not connected to who you are. It's not working because it's not connected to the values of your life. And that's why it's so important that you establish your values first and then build routines around that. That is how you move forward with intentional living. That's how you win, by practice. So let me give you a couple of ideas for routines, okay? So one could be just daily affirmations. I actually have a list of affirmations for myself that I speak every single morning. I got it on my phone. It has a little reminder that starts right at the time that I desire. That time is actually 5:30 right now. I know that's early, but that's part of my routine. And I read those out loud every single day because I know that the Bible talks about that I believe, so I speak. So I'm like, you know what? These are things that I believe about myself, that I want to see happen in my life. So I'm going to speak them every single day. That's one idea for a routine. Or maybe you have other desires. You want to grow in your relationship with Christ, or you want to build up endurance. So maybe you figure out, okay, when it comes to your relationship with Christ, they always talk about how, reading your Bible daily, praying daily, and worshiping daily is a major thing. Well, incorporate that into a morning routine. You wake up at a certain time, you worship for a certain time, then you pray for a certain time, and then you read your Bible for a certain time. And before you know it, you're going to be growing. The whole point is that you are building that sequence of tasks that you do on a regular basis that's tied to your values. You're doing those and you're going to see yourself win. You're going to see yourself progress. And that's the reason why this is actually the last step in the intentional living stairwell. Because before you can have routines that are actually effective, you got to acknowledge that you have a dream, that you have a desire. Before you can have routines that are actually effective for you, you got to actually live out your principles. Figure out the principles that you want to live by. Before you have effective routines that allow you to move forward in life, you gotta execute the play. You gotta figure out what the play is. And then you can finally win by practice. So you see how all that works together? I love this stairwell to intentional living because I walk it every single day. I may fall down a stair or two every now and again, but the overall trajectory is forward because I'm continually being intentional about the things that I do throughout my life. And I want to see you do the same, okay? I want you to learn how to live intentionally. Take these steps seriously. Go back, watch the rest of those videos, and really learn how to acknowledge, live, execute, and win so that you can live the life that you desire, that God has called you to live, because He has called you to do something big. I don't know if you realize this, but He has called you to do something beyond what you can even ask, think, or imagine. That inkling in your heart to do something major, that wasn't just placed there by some happenstance. No, God has an amazing, amazing thing. I love what Ephesians 2:10 says. It says that He has prepared good works beforehand for us. That is who our God is. And that's why I'm so passionate about making sure that each one of us are living intentionally. Because when we live intentionally, we get to see the fruit. We get to see what God has called us to do. We get to be fulfilled. We get to be at peace. We get to grow and see what He is going to do through us. So guys, I encourage you, take a moment and really figure out, acknowledge that you have a dream and that your dream is worth it. Live out those principles. Figure out what you value, write it down. Get clear about it. Get clear about the dream behind it. and then execute the play. Figure out where your dream is, where your reality is, and how you can close that gap. And then finally, win. Build some daily practices, some routines, some things that you can put in place there we go, to help you grow. Okay? So that's all I got for you for this month. This is the Intentional Living Stairwell, and I want you to get on it, okay? Let's do this thing together. Tell me how you're gonna win in the comments below. Go ahead and like this video if it was what you needed, and better yet, make sure that you subscribe. Subscribe so I know that you're getting some good content, and so that you can find out what we're talking about next Thursday, okay? All right, guys, have an awesome day wherever you are.